Hello, welcome to the State House Insight with me, your host, Lady H. Today we're going to have our special guest again, Secretary Comfort, and she's going to bring us insight from the presidency. Welcome, Secretary Comfort. Welcome, Presec. Hello. Hello, televiewers. Welcome again to the State House Insight. We want to apologize for the little error that we had. There was a technical mistake, but right now everything is sorted. Once more, welcome to the State House Insight. This is your anchor host, Lady H. Well, the State House Insight is a program where we bring to you special information from the presidency and also everything that you need to know. And today with us, we have again we're privileged to have again our press sec, Comrade Comfort. Welcome.
Thank you, Lady A. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
You're all welcome to this platform.
I understand that the president gave a very powerful message for us today through our press sec regarding what happened yesterday in Batibo and in Bamenda University. So we're just going to take some time and listen to what our press sec has got to say. And please, I just want to remind you that while we are talking, please send in your comments. And there's going to also be a time where we're going to open the phone lines where you can call in and ask your questions. So once more, welcome, press sec, and over to you.
Thank you once again, Lady H. And fellow televiewers, I am going to start by presenting to you a word from the President of the Federal Republic of the acting President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Fellow televiewers, please, people should not call me now because I am live. And this is going to be a little bit daunting. Answering calls now, it's disturbing. Oh.
Yeah, just carry on. I believe they've gotten your message.
And I don't know whether I am live or not. Please, for somebody to just confirm whether I am live so I can carry on. This is really, it's sad. Fellow televiewers, please don't call me now because I am live. So, Lady H, am I live? Can I go ahead?
Yes, please go on. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that, fellow Ambazonians, and I am going to go right away to present to you a word from the acting president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, His Excellency, Dr. Ikome Samuel Sako, concerning what happened at home yesterday. And he says, Paul Biya's genocidal onslaught on my people is knowing no end. Once again, with plenty of distress, I, the AP of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, present a convocation to the national community, to the national authorities that may be, that the 85-year-old dictator Paul Biya of French Cameroon is clearly following his street to extinguish the Ambazonia people. It is barely 1 month since he sent his trigger-happy soldiers on a mission in Menkapinin, who summarily executed over 40 young men and women of Ambazonia. Over and over again, his atrocious acts have been on an increase, and I wonder why the world is still watching silently. Just yesterday, he sent his thoughts to the Bambili campus of the Bamenda University of the Northern Zone of Ambazonia to perform another carnage. These callous uniformed men took 5 innocent, armless students out of their rooms and shot them dead. We have been readily informed that one of the students even pleaded for his life, showed them his identification card as a student, but yet could not obtain his mercy or their mercy. These are the same students they forced to go to school in spite of my government's incessant call to keep them safe within a highly militarized zone. As if that was not enough, these untrained soldiers of Biya took out an entire family, a man and his wife, their children, grandparents, and other families around the same neighborhood in Batibo, I will continue to remind Paul Biya that these atrocities of his only help to rekindle the revolutionary fire that is burning in every Ambazonian. And I mean business when I say there will be no Cameroon if there is no Ambazonia. The blood of thousands of our people who have been spilled and the thousands of our IDPs you have rendered homeless, and the sufferings of our president, His Excellency Sisiku Julius Ayuk Tabe, and the rest will not go in vain. As we transition from a pushback to a pushover, let it be known that no amount of your brutality can stop us. I wish at this point to present our sincere condolences to families, friends, and communities that have been victims of yesterday's monstrous acts of Paul Biya. Our prayer and heartfelt thoughts are with you. God bless you. God bless Ambazonia. Short live the war. Acting President of the Interim Government of the Federal Republic of Cameroon, of Ambazonia. Sorry for that mistake. Thank you.
Press Sec. Well, that was a very touching message from the acting president. And we want to also tell the families that were bereaved yesterday, that lost loved ones, to also please accept our condolences. Our heart is with all of them. And we'll continue to pray that God raise our nation. So, Press Sec, we want now to listen to any briefings that you've got for us today. Please, have you got any?
Yes, of course. That was officially the reason for today's outing. So once again, fellow Ambazonians, this is Comfort Comfort, your Amba State House Press Secretary. And once again, accept warm and heartfelt greetings from His Excellency, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako. He extends special respect, revolutionary and patriotic salute to the defenders of our women and children on ground zero. The AP is reminding you all once again that your sacrifices and bravery are not going unnoticed. He encourages that you should go on doing what you are doing because it is the right thing. Also, he continues to express his condolence wishes to the families that have been bereaved this week as a result of the brutality of the French Cameroon uniformed men. Today, bringing you answers to some of the questions that were raised last week, after which I will still be taking more questions. But if your question cannot be answered this evening, do not worry. Just drop a question on the question box below and answers will be brought to you in the next session. In response to an allegation that the AP went ahead and signed a constitution that was rejected by 88% of the Restoration Council of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, the AP calls that an indictment both on the Restoration Council and on the interim government. This is because a letter of approval was sent to the cabinet, and that is why the constitution was publicly signed by both the AP and the chairman of the Restoration Council. There are equally claims that the AP, Dr. Sako, and the rest of the cabinet members are advocating for changes to execute power or to executive power only when the 12 abductees have come to the limelight. All Ambazonians are recommended here to read the Constitution. The acting president has the prerogative, according to the Constitution, to act within the ambits of the president in his absence. And everything he is doing is within those powers. The Ambazonian community is equally reminded that His Excellency Sisiku Julius Ayuk Tabe is still the president of the interim government of Ambazonia. And he, Dr. Sako Samuel, remains the acting president. The cabinet of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia interim government was quite aware of the fact that replacing Sisiku as president was going to imply to the desperate, crumbling regime of Yaoundé that we have ignored him. And so they could have taken war steps, even to the extent of executing them. His Excellency Dr. Sako is also drawing your attention to the fact that we are in a revolution. And so most of the things are not being done as they are normally supposed to be done in a normal democracy. For example, by nominating members of the Restoration Council instead of electing them was done following revolutionary rules, he said. The founding members of the revolution, plus other fellow comrades proposed to the IG by various counties, was already enough representation. They were therefore not necessarily handpicked as other fellow Ambazonians put it. Furthermore, AP Dr. Sako is calling on all Ambazonians to resist Dictator Paul Biya's hypocritical humanitarian aid to our desperate, internally dispersed persons. This is because that move is just one of his gimmicks to reach out to our people to do his campaign of the elections that are not equally allowed to take place in our territory. He also wants Paul Biya to know that we have nothing against his elections that are scheduled for the 7th of October 2019. But he should know that we shall not allow them to be organized nor held on our land. And in this note, ECAM and campaigners are equally warned. All members, all Ambazonians are cautioned that if anyone wishes to reach out to the families of our adopted leaders, it should be limited to privacy. We should also stop advocating nor attacking them on social media because they have and seemingly are still going through a lot of stress and are supposed to be left alone. His Excellency Dr. Sako Samuel acknowledges the fact that all Ambazonians want collaboration between the IG and the frontline leaders of this revolutionary movement. He also makes it clear that the number one collaborative platform that was created was that exists to be at the level of self-defense. He says the best thing he did was to create the Ambazonian Self-Defense Council, ASC, and that whatever thing is tearing the leaders apart can only be discussed off camera and away from followers. The AP also says that genuine collaboration comes from the heart and not necessarily from enlarged meetings. The AP is also informing the citizens of Ambazonia that the IG tried everything possible to get all counties represented in the cabinet, but that most of them prefer to work at the background. The Department of Communications shall be introducing those of them who are bold and courageous enough to show their faces to public on SCBC in the days ahead. In that line, a communique from the Chief of Staff of the Presidency is in circulation, inviting all Ambazonians who are interested, ready, able, and available to work, to table in their applications to help in their fields of expertise, in the think tank groups of the various departments of the cabinet. Fellow Ambazonians, fellow comrades of the revolution, Acting President Sako, Dr. Sako also wants you to know that the fear and uncertainty that is gripping our people back home is just one of the typical characteristics of war times. He is therefore calling on all to keep cool and focus on self-defense because there is hope in what we are doing. This is because the international community, some embassies, and international organizations are beginning to listen to us. His hope is in the fact that much talking is going on and countries like Ghana, the United States of America, and Germany are giving us ears as well. The Department of Foreign Affairs and the office of the president are doing much more diplomatic discussions, but it cannot be broadcast on social media. Once again, the APC's off-camera talks are still going on between him and the frontline leaders towards more effective collaboration. The IG does not equally condone with the unlawful killing of Ambazonians by other Ambazonians. The defense forces are not encouraged to take upon themselves to kill one another or taking others hostage just to defend other groups on ground zero. The IG wants perpetrators of such crimes to know that they will not be left to go with impunity. To that effect, the IG is calling on eyewitnesses to immediately report such anti-revolutionary crimes or activities backed with pictures and video evidences. If the IG is not able to penalize them now, it is going to be done in due time when we reach Boya. The IG is going to provide a phone number in the days ahead so that fellow Ambazonians will call to report such misconducts, and so rogue elements should watch out. I would like to put some questions from here. And once again, this was Comfort for your Amba State House Press Secretary.
Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching State House Insight. Thank you so much, Secretary Comfort, for that wonderful word you've given unto us. Well, we want to reiterate again that please send in your comments. The lines are going to be open very soon, so you can call in. And I particularly like, from the speech that you just gave, I like the fact that the AP, the IG in particular, is open to people from all over Ambazonia to come in and work. And also the fact that you said the Constitution is open out there to everyone to read. What does that tell you about our nation, Ambazonia?
Yeah, because we know we are a nation, we are running away from something, and we are just trying to build what we think is right. Our nation, the new coming nation of ours, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, is the one of a democratic one. It's a nation that the government is that of the people, the government by the people and for the people. The government that does things from bottom up and not from up to bottom. And that is why they open up to everybody. Everything is democratically done. People have every right to question. That is why you have to get to the right information so that you ask. For example, if it is stated in the Constitution like this, why is it done like that?
Wow. I like that. A country for the people, by the people, and a country where everything is democratically done. So if we're talking about democracy, when I was following your speech, there was a particular place that you mentioned that when it came to the selection of the cabinet members, they were not elected, rather they were nominated. Why that? What were the criteria? Why did the government have to nominate instead of electing, since we're in a democratic country? And what were the criteria that the AP based his selection on?
Okay, just like I said before, we are in a revolution and things will not normally be done in the way they should be done in a normal democracy. But it doesn't mean that democracy is totally wiped out. That is why I said the prime or the first representatives of the Restoration Council were people who were taken from the various, from the people who, the founders of this revolution, like SCACU, like the consortium, all of those movements that were formed on the ground. The SCACU, I'm trying to forget them. So they picked that is where the members came from. Members of the Restoration Council, they all came from those groups that were formed on ground zero. And in addition to that, the other people who were added to this Restoration Council were proposed to the IG by the various representatives of our various counties. And so there is enough representation, which means there is still democracy. The IG, the acting president did not go by himself and say, I want this and that. He consulted with the other members of the cabinet, saying, now we are in a revolution. There is no time to do elections, but how do we do in such a way that we should have enough representation? So every member, I don't think that if me from my county, I would go and choose a wrong person to represent me at the Restoration Council, which is normally like in a normal parliament. So I will not choose somebody, a wrong person, to go and represent me at the parliament. So that is how the democracy, it may not be open in that they did not vote, but the process was actually still a democratic one, because members were actually brought to table by people from their counties and their constituencies.
Okay. Thank you so much, President. And please, I would just like you to break it down to maybe some people that are viewing and they might not really know what the Reformation Council is all about. What is the Reformation Council?
Yeah, the Restoration Council is just like the lawmaking house. You know, like normally in a normal democracy, like we go back to this, we have a parliament, you know. So what the Restoration Council is doing now is exactly what they will actually be transformed into a parliament when we get back home. So they are the lawmakers of the country. They are the people that when the law, for example, when a bill is being passed, they debate it at the level of the Restoration Council and then come to a conclusion and bring it so that they pass it out like they did with the Constitution.
Thank you, President. Once again, you are reminded that you are watching the Press Inside State House. And please, we want to tell you, if you have any questions, please do send them in. And talking about the Reformation Council, they said there was some consent a few days ago from Barrister Bogga, and that he asked for the Reformation Council to be reformed so that everybody is included in what is being done. Please, can you just give us in a nutshell, what are some of the measures that the IG is taking to see that everybody is included in this reformation?
Okay, once again, this would be like repeating what I said before, but I'm patient enough. I would want to do that. You know, for an individual or a group of people to ask for the Restoration Council to be reformed, for everybody to be represented, that sounds like they doubt the competencies of the interim government. Because like I said before, the interim government is not AP Dr. Sako. It's actually a good number of people who are representing various counties of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. They actually sat together, they worked on it, they tabled it, and the Restoration Council debated on it. And then what happened? They voted it and then sent a letter of recognition, of recommendation that we recognize the Constitution, we accept, we agree that everything is okay with it. And so that's why the AP did not sign it by himself, because saying that it should be, saying that everybody is not represented, or saying that it should be reformed, it is as if the Restoration Council was being forced to do it. Or does it mean that the chairperson was forced to come out and sign it? He was not forced. He signed it with the permission of the rest of the Restoration Council members. And so, to ask whether everybody is represented or for the IG to do something for everybody to be represented, like I said before, there is enough representation. Because if you look inside the Restoration Council, there is somebody from the northern zone, there is somebody from the southern zone, there's somebody from the Menchum County, there's somebody from the Momo County, there's somebody from the Dian County. So everybody, there is enough representation in the Restoration Council. Nobody is being left out. And if restoration, if you mean including like other leaders of the revolution, like those we call the frontline leaders, we want to know that from history, since in the days of Sisiko, they have been trying as much as they could to call these people together, say, come on, let's sit down and talk, let's decide on this. They have been inviting them. They have been stretching this hand of fellowship that brothers come together, let's decide. But it has always been them to refuse that, no, we are not coming. We don't want to join in. It is not like they could not make any of the frontline leaders member of the Restoration Council. But because they don't always accept the invitations that is that they are called to take part of such things. So there is enough representation, and asking for it to be reformed, it's a kind of indictment, like the AP would say, not only on the interim government, but on the Restoration Council itself.
Thank you, Press Sec. Once again, you are watching State House Insight. Yeah, I'm talking about Siseko. Please, do you have any information about their whereabouts? Because I know people would like to know. You mentioned them in your speech. We just want to know any development, what is happening to them.
Yeah, so far, we know it's almost a month now. It was revealed to us and confirmed that they are in French Cameroon. So they are in French Cameroon, and how much I know about them is that immediately they came to the limelight. Normally they are waiting to be tried by the rogue government of Yaoundé. They would have loved to either have their own family lawyers, or the interim government would have wanted to have their own lawyer to represent them. But as callous as the French regime is, they would not let them have the lawyers that they want. They are imposing lawyers on them. That is how much I know. But any development, I will really come back again to let the fellow Ambazonians know exactly at what stage it is. This is how much I can say for now.
Thank you, Press Sec. I think what I just want to encourage every Ambazonia to do is never to lose hope, and for us to continue praying for our adopted leaders in jail. And please do send in your comments. We're going to be taking comments very soon. Send in your questions, send in your contributions. And the front lines are going to be, the lines are going to be open very soon for people to send in their calls. And we'll be having a guest, hopefully, that's going to call in soon. And I just have one last question, Press Sec. In your speech that you were presenting, you mentioned that there are some countries that have started recognizing a revolution, which is a good news. But my question is, what can be done for a nation? What can be done to have more sympathizers to this struggle? Did you get me?
You got lost. I lost you somewhere along the line. Just had to get more sympathizers. After that, I did not hear anything again.
Okay. Well, what I said was that in your speech, you mentioned that we have some countries that are already beginning to recognize our revolution. For instance, you mentioned Ghana and some other nations. So my question is, as a nation, what else can we do to have more partners and more sympathizers to partner with us and to recognize our revolution?
Yeah, what I can say to that, this is typically the job of the Department of Foreign Affairs, and they are doing so much on the ground. And like you and I know, this despotic, desperate, failing, crumbling regime of Paul Biya, they are desperately in need of they want to know exactly what we are doing, so that those who are shamelessly supporting them would rush ahead to either disrupt us or distract us in any way. So these are things that if I don't have any sure information, I would not share it here. And there is much about this, but we would rather keep it secret because this is not the right place to share strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to open the lines so you can call in. And I'm also going to be looking at some comments. And also another question. Sorry, Press Sec. I know I said I was going to ask the last question, but I still have one more question, please, if you don't mind. I remember that you mentioned the forthcoming election in October this year, October 2018. What is it? What are the measures that have been put in place to ensure that no election takes place in Ambazonia?
Oh, yes. Just like I said before, the stand of the interim government is that no elections are going to take place in Ambazonia. Elections conducted by our neighbor, French Cameroon. We just got this message a few days ago, and we are working on exactly how we are going to handle this. But immediately something concrete is put to place, I am going to let fellow Ambazonians know.
Okay, thank you. So there is going to be a number that will be put on the screen so that people can call in. And I'm just going to check at the comments to see if people have sent in any comment. And please do feel free to call. Do feel free to send in your comments. Please. I'm just looking. Please, can the technician put the number on the screen, please? Because people are asking for the number that they can use to call. And somebody is asking, what is the topic of the discussion? This is a State House Insight. We said this is a program where we bring to you special information from the presidency. So I'm just going to go through some comments while we are waiting for the call, for people to call in. Okay, a lot of people are asking for the number. Please put the number on the screen. So that people can call. We are having some technical issues, just trying to repair them. Okay. Well, somebody is writing. I don't know if this is something I should read. Somebody is writing, press sec, and they're saying, can't we destroy those two bridges that are linking us to La Republique? What do you have to say to that?
Well, if that is much about that, I don't have to say, but destroying the bridges is it could still be some way to, I think that person feels that destroying the bridges would be like a kind of handicap to the forces of La Republique du Cameroon to come over and keep destroying our lives. But yeah, it could be a good idea, but I don't think I can go detail into that now because I don't know much. I don't know anything about bridge destruction, and there's nothing much I can say about that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we know that we stand for peace. So just looking through some comments, and people is also writing that people should learn to contribute more financially. Financially, that the struggle need finances. Do you have anything to say to that?
Oh, yeah, thanks very much. I think this is like a kind of a reminder because I was going equally to remind the general public, all Ambazonians and well-wishers that firstly, my trip to Boya is officially closed. We are not going out again to ask for people to contribute for my trip to Boya. But it is still open in such a way that many people had done a lot of pledges. Some have revived just part of the pledges. Some have not done anything at all. So if you still feel like supporting for my trip to Boya, the lines are still open. And if you go to that website, www.mytriptoboya.com, there is a number that you can call. If you are not able to do the transactions directly, there is a number on that website which you can call to get help on how you can help contribute. There are a lot of things to do. You can even contribute. You know, we have thousands of people living in the forests. We have thousands of them out there in Nigeria. We have all the casualties. We have a lot of things to take care of. So you can contribute. There are a lot of ways. You contribute to the ambagov.org because the IG needs funds to do all of these things, because like we all know, my trip to Boya is special money for a special project. And secondly, if you feel that you want to sponsor a particular thing, you can sponsor, you can do some contributions to the HSS for the humanitarian part of it, because you know, like we say, our people are in need of food. Like the ladies, they need sanitary pads, they need there's a lot of need out there. So there is always something. We cannot stop giving until we reach Boya. And it is our right, our civic right as fellow citizens of this Federal Republic of Ambazonia to contribute financially till we get home.
Okay, thank you. Still trying to read some of the comments. There seem to be some technical issues with the phone lines. So please just send in your comments as you have been doing. Thank you. And then someone wrote and said, what is being done to see the leaders are united, or the frontliners leaders are united, to bring unity amongst them?
Okay, yeah, this is a question we know. I know, like, this is a cry of every Ambazonian. This is the heart's desire of every Ambazonian. That is why patiently you can always say something when a question comes on unity or collaboration. Like I said before, the acting president is doing a lot of talks behind the cameras. And his heart's desire, he's working hard to see that there is not just the social media type of collaboration, but genuine collaboration. And when his dream shall come true, we shall see it, because he will equally come out to even say it himself that there is collaboration on the ground, and we will see it equally in action. So while we are waiting for the AP to do his part, I will say, like I said last week again, individuals are equally encouraged to encourage the frontline leaders, to encourage the stakeholders of this revolution to come to the collaboration table. Because how much we stay apart is how much time we are wasting, and that is the number of people we are losing back home.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll have to be wise with the way we do things, isn't it? Well, we want to just say sorry. We apologize to everyone that we have not been able to read your comments, because the comments are quite a lot. But unfortunately, we have come to the end of the show. And if you have any questions, maybe send them in. And if we have the time next time, we will try to address it. Thanks again for watching. Thank you so much, Press Sec. God bless you. And God bless you all for watching.